on the Facebooks and YouTube and
We're live on Facebook and YouTube.
Facebook, YouTube is coming up. Instagram is just on its way up now.
How disruptive would it be to do a spur of the moment
Oh boy,
social media promotion? So
you're doing it now because you're
yeah, we're talking. Anyone that shares the link to this live feed right now and screenshots and emails it to us or something, then they get like, we're gonna give something cool away. What should we give away? Or $100 gift certificate.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So what? Yes, and a free mug. All right. Welcome everyone to our 43rd 034 Motorsport live chat. I think there's still quarantine edition, but hopefully, general quarantine. We can stop talking about that maybe by the summer or the end of the year. Hopefully, we'll see. So welcome. We were just chatting about doing a quick fun promotion. The viewership of this live social media live feed has grown tremendously since we started doing it, and we'd like to continue to see it grow. So we'd like to do a quick promotion for anyone who's watching. Share the link to this on your social media, preferably Instagram or YouTube. If you do it to MySpace, you won't qualify. And then just grab a screenshot of the screen where you shared it and email it to social@034motorsport.com. So again, screenshot the sharing event, email it to social@034motorsport.com, and we will randomly pick a winner towards the end or after, and we will issue out $100 gift certificates and a free mug, like I'm drinking from. Yeah, don't be a jerk and delete it or something. Frankly, this is great content, and I'm sure a few of your friends will thank you for it. So, but listen, if you want to play games like that, you could, I guess. But anyways, let's just have a little fun with that. And looks like we got 20 people on Instagram right off the bat. So cool. All right. So as always, this is a live Q&A session. We actually don't prepare for this.
Nope.
Probably shows, but
straight out of morning meetings and straight into the fire here.
Yeah. Just we show up in this room about 5 minutes before. Of course, Nate spends a lot more time setting things up, and we're here to chat. We're here to chat about 034 Motorsport, our products and services, our history. Nate and I are happy to talk about ourselves and our experiences as well. Last week we gave some relationship advice along with tuning advice. So it was
a rationale for
sort of a unified message about relationships and tuning, and that one has been clipped out. It was a question about how to talk to your significant other about your tuning.
The vehicle modifications requirements that you have to make.
Right. And our advice is always that it's about safety. So we have a little clip about that. So anyways, feel free to drop in your questions. If we say something that you don't agree with or doesn't make sense or whatever, feel free to follow up. We're happy to address it.
Happy to clarify.
Someone also recently called us out that we tend to talk over each other. And it's watching some of the videos, it definitely happens. Nate and I are sort of like an old married couple, where we kind of sometimes finish each other's sentences or whatever. And so we're sorry. We'll try to be better about that.
And again, it's completely not scripted, so we're both thinking of and rattling off the answers as they come to us.
So not trying to be rude to each other or be unpleasant to watch. So we'll try to tone that back. Thank you for the feedback. All right. Someone asks, wow, this is a crazy question. Do you make VW products? Yeah, just about every product we make fits a VW, just about. Audi and Volkswagen aren't really that different. In fact, they're actually much more similar than they're different, especially you go back to about 6 years ago when Audi really started and Volkswagen really basically Volkswagen Group started getting serious about the MQB platform. Just about 3/4 of Audis are the same as almost all of the Volkswagens.
Yeah, and it goes back to the Mark IV era Volkswagen, where things
Yeah.
really started becoming the same across both brands.
But you can go back to the 70s. There was an Audi Fox and a Volkswagen Fox, and then you had the Audi 4000 and then the Passat.
Yep.
There was a Quantum at one point, which is basically just an Audi with some different,
With a weird suspension setup, but yeah, other than that, it was
there was some
basically a
changes.
4000 wagon.
The Dasher wagon, the Fox wagon. So Volkswagen and Audi have always been very linked. I can't remember the exact year, but in the 90s, I think it was, Volkswagen finally bought Audi, and they got a lot more serious about sharing parts and technology, and even now Porsche is in the Volkswagen family, and so you see not as much between Volkswagen and Audi, but you see quite a bit of relationship DNA between Audi and
Yeah,
Porsche.
particularly on their non 911 stuff. If
Yeah, like
it's
the Macan.
the Macans or the other platforms.
The Macan's
they share, yeah, it's a
B9
it's a-
chassis.
It's a Q or B8 depending on the year, and
B8 or B9.
there was the
Q5 S.
Touareg and the Cayenne. It's basically
Touareg Cayenne.
same car.
Same underneath. And of course the Touareg and the Q7,
Yep.
So yes, we do make a lot of Volkswagen products. We are more known for our Audi tuning. I think that's just an extension of we're more Audi guys than Volkswagen guys. Not to say we don't love Volkswagen.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever, but
I think it started back with our need for Quattro when we kind of started. So that was just very much an Audi centric world.
Yeah.
In
But
the 90s and 80s and 90s.
But yeah, I mean, right now, if you go on our website, we have a full range of products for just about every Volkswagen made since the 2000s. So, if there's I'd actually be interested to know why that whoever asked that question.
Yeah,
what's their impression?
Why don't you know that?
What haven't we been doing to let you know that? Because obviously, the Volkswagen market is much bigger than the Audi market, and there's a lot more Volkswagens on the road. For example, the GTI sort of like keeps the industry going. Oh, there was a question that just disappeared. Oh, okay. Someone's asking about low-speed pre-ignition. What is it? Is it dangerous? Does our DSG tuning help prevent it? Downshifting to prevent significant load.
I mean, that's a tough one to answer. Low speed pre-ignition shouldn't obviously be occurring unless there's something out of spec or the tune isn't accounting for it. It's basically when you're at a very low RPM, very high load situation, and you basically pre-igniting. Your mixture's firing off before it should, causing knock or detonation in the cylinder, which is obviously not healthy for the motor. So I mean that's what it is.
Yeah. And the reason that happens is most engines operate most efficiently at lower RPM. So usually you see a torque peak, depending on a turbo, but on a factory car with a factory turbo, you could see it as low as 1500 RPM.
Right.
So that generates the highest cylinder pressures at a point where the engine, the rods and pistons don't have as much momentum as they would say at higher RPMs. So that pre-ignition can be pretty damaging and generate a lot of heat because of how slow those combustion cycles are compared to higher up in the RPM. So generally, I would let's take low speed pre-ignition. I would go up a few levels and say that trying to do a lot with your motor at low RPMs is a bad idea. Low speed pre-ignition is one of them. There also, there's many devices in the motor that operate off of engine RPM. For example, the oil pump and the FSI fuel pump are two. I suppose your AC compressor, your alternator,
anything that's driven from the motor.
So none of those accessories, which are receiving their operating power from the engine's crankshaft, none of those are operating in their range at those lower RPMs. So that means the oil pump is not nearly putting out it's the flow it will, say, at 5,000 RPM or 3,000 RPM. So your oil pressure is likely lower than you would like at the torque peak. And then the fuel pump flow is also lower. So the fuel system simply just has less ability to meet the fuel demand at those lower RPMs. So there's this thing called lugging. Generally, if you want to criticize someone, you could call them a lug. And lugging, saying something is lugging is not a good thing, right? It has a very negative connotation. So generally, do not lug your high performance car. There should be no reason to. You can always
You have lots of gears
shift
for lots of
to a
reasons.
lower gear. There's a reason there's gears, and I would say, really operate just about any engine, between like 2 to 2,500 RPM and redline. I don't have any issues with redline. Redline's awesome, and I think way too many people are afraid of it.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't understand.
Well, actually,
they think they drive at a low RPM and it's safer for the motor. You're actually going to have higher cylinder pressures typically, especially in a turbocharged application. At the lower RPM ranges, with, as Javad mentioned, a lot less support from your other pressure driven devices, so the pumps and the oil pumps, the fuel pumps and whatnot.
Yeah. So just because you can go wide open throttle at 1,500 RPM doesn't mean you should.
And then secondarily, does your DSG tuning help prevent it? No, it's not a function of the DSG tune. I mean,
If it's in auto mode,
yeah,
it
DSG
should.
in auto mode will just it'll downshift.
But no, if you're in manual mode, it's going to hold it.
It's
going
gonna
to let
figure
you
out
do
that
it.
too.
Yeah. So just don't do it.
There's no reason to.
There's a lot of things you shouldn't do. You shouldn't crash into curbs either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just
Blinkers.
it's one of the things you have to do when you're controlling
Do
your
use
car.
blinkers.
Yes. Someone's asking, when installing your lowering springs, did you need to recalibrate the Magride on an 8V S3?
It's a lot. We specifically do not on our vehicles in house to validate that it's not required.
You don't need to,
You don't
but you
need
can.
to. You can.
It doesn't hurt anything. But some people think that's they can't drive the car until they do or whatever, and that it's not going to operate optimally until they do, and that's not true. But it can't hurt.
Right.
But don't tell people that.
Yeah, don't get hung up on it.
yeah.
It's not gonna make or break anything.
Can you turn on and off the crackles on your S4 dual pulley 2+ test pipe file whilst keeping the advanced launch control?
Yep. So this is broken down pretty well in some videos that Nick put together. The advanced launch control is fairly independent from the crackles. We give you a lot of options. You'll get the full crackles and loud ignition cut launch if you're in sport mode. If you don't want that, leave it in comfort. That'll get you the normal overrun characteristics, and it'll get you the normal style launch control, but it is still fully programmable. You can still pick your launch RPM and set it. And then you can go another step. You can turn the advanced launch control off with the cruise control stock, and you're back to 100% normal operation. Again, you still get your crackle overrun if you're in sport mode or not. So we try and make it as flexible for you as possible with the given inputs and switches we have at hand.
Yeah. Someone's asking, can I use a friend's 034 flash cable to flash my car, or is that cable tied to the VIN? You can. We try not to encourage it, just because we know you'll have the best experience if you have your own cable. We sell them for $150. It's pretty cheap. You can do other stuff with it.
Yeah, we've got a full data logging and fault code suite that comes along with it. Anytime you've got a tune, you have access to that as well, so you can check codes and if there's any questions, or do throttle body adaptations. We're adding more and more stuff to it as we go. But yeah, and then of course just having the flexibility to use that cable if and when you need it.
So our general policy here is that we don't stop people from doing it, but we also don't advertise and encourage people to do it. So if you ask, our staff will assist you with that. But again,
we don't recommend it.
We don't recommend it, and we're really not. It's kind of like I said, it might seem like a good idea, but ultimately we want you to have the best experience. We want you to be able to flash your car whenever you want to, and to have no restrictions. And if we ever need to support you, we have those cables and the features built into the cable for a reason.
Yep.
So I would encourage you to do that. But again, if you're just going to flash your car once and that's all you're ever going to do for some reason, then you could probably get away with that. I don't know how many customers we have that would actually ever just flash their car once.
Our server stays busy.
Yeah.
Lots of map switching and people like playing with their cars.
B9 TCU Tune, yes, we will be releasing a ZF8 B9 TCU file, and it will be part of allowing the engine to achieve higher red line or higher shift points.
Both and torque management as well.
Yeah, and torque management. So we are deep into B9 MG1 tuning right now. It's going very well. We're very excited with the results, and we're extremely excited to be able to release something this year.
Yep.
Where it's something that the poor B9 S4 owners and RS5 owners
they've
have
waited
been
a long
waiting
time for some stuff. Yeah.
And I've even heard of people selling their cars and to get other more tunable platforms. So I will say, if you're in that position, please don't sell your car. There's a lot of really exciting stuff coming. It's a very potent package. As awesome as the B8 3.0T has been, this turbocharged 3.0 will go much further.
Yep.
To make a lot more power, and we'll see much faster quarter-mile times with this platform. So it's going to require a hybrid turbo. The factory turbo is tiny. It's a KO4.
Yeah, it's not a lot of headroom in that.
So we'll offer a full-featured stage 1 and stage 2. But don't expect the world with that. It's the stock turbo.
Don't expect it to end there either. We've got more in the works.
But hybrids and I think 600-700 horsepower, will be very achievable with those types of turbos. So, when do you recommend replacing supercharger oil in the 3.0T? What do you think, Nate?
I don't know. I this is something I haven't bothered to look into or research really, so I don't have a good answer for that one.
We don't have a recommendation. We can say it's long life.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one to quantify because it really depends on the use and the history of it, and if you still have oil in there. I know some guys have had shaft seals and whatnot leak. So, but yeah, I don't have a concrete number to give you.
Someone's asking, I purchased an X34 intake. They say thank you. You're welcome, and thank you.
Well, thank you.
Do I need to oil the filter, or does it come pre-oiled? K&N made oiled filter elements popular, and so this is a kind of a cotton gauze type material that's saturated with oil. And so what actually does the filtering in those filters is the oil, the dust, and other particulates go through this kind of matrix, and they stick to the oil. And unlike normal filters, which filter using a media with certain size holes in it. So we do not use an oiled style filter like a K&N. We use a media filter, but it does have a light application of a very light oil. So I guess it's sort of a hybrid, but it's not a completely dry filter. All you need to do is buy our filter cleaning kit. It comes with the cleaning detergent as well as the treatment for afterwards. So after you wash it, then you apply this light film oil, and that's it. But it is a filter media that ultimately filters particles out due to the sizes between all the fibers. Mm-hmm. All right. So someone's asking about this. This is our upcoming DAZA cast 4-inch turbo inlet. We're very excited about this product. We are certainly not the first to come out with one of these products. Every major DAZA tuner on the market has one. But we kept the factory OEM style here with the integrated
breather
crankcase breather ports. And then we have a whole range of adapters that allow this to be used with different turbos.
Those are all pre.
Yeah, and so you can go from stock. This is the biggest. This is the stock one, which gives you a nice tapered, smooth flow path through here. This is a cast from aluminum, excellent finish quality, 4-inch on this side. Fits, like OEM.
Yep.
Looks pretty OEM as well, which we like. And has a nice cast embossed 034 there. So I think we're a couple months out from releasing this. This is these are a couple prototypes that we received from our foundry, and we've made some changes to these, so there will be some improvements over this. And I think maybe in a couple months we should have a product to release. And then we also this is not a new product, but these are the DAZA secondary injectors, and these are 980 cc's. These are Bosch injectors, right?
Yep. Just
and we supply a little adapter harness that adapts to the factory connector. We tried a few different connectors on the market. There's very specific connector
that's dubious quality and shape differences between what looks like very similar connectors in these, so you got to be careful.
Yeah. So this is a really high quality connector that doesn't have some of the issues that some of the cheaper knockoffs have. And these injectors, we recommend them for stage 2. They will give you extra fueling capacity on like a 91 or 93 file, but they're not necessarily required.
Right.
On E85, they are required to achieve the higher fuel demand of the lower efficiency E85 fuel. So you definitely need those for E85, and they're a nice safety buffer for the gasoline tunes.
Yeah. The stock ones aren't really designed for performance necessarily. They're there to clean the valves and some emissions related reasons. And we kind of hijack them for nefarious purposes and get a bunch of power out of the motor.
And they operate at 100% duty cycle pretty much.
The stock ones top out. I mean, we're at the edge of what the stock fuel system can deal with on the stage 1 E85. So we chose to build in some headroom. And we've been running our stage 2 E85 with stock stuff for quite a while, but it was, again, right at the edge of what everything could flow. So we felt this was the right way to do it.
And you really don't ever want to run an injector at 100%. They're not really designed for that.
Well, and you just don't have any, you don't have that. Where do you go if your pressure drops a little bit? Where, you're pulling back boost and whatnot, but still it's not how we wanted it to operate in the wild. Speaking of
DAZA Stage 2, we are releasing that, and I think today, if all goes well. This has been a file that's been years in the making. So this is not a stage 2 that we rushed out to market. I first drove on our stage 2 file, I don't know, 2 years ago, at least, maybe 3 years ago. But we've taken the time to test it. I mean, we have many tens of thousands of miles on this file.
It's a track day.
We've driven it to Las Vegas and back several times. We've driven it up into the mountains. A lot of track days. This is a very flushed out, very safe stage 2 file. We feel good about where the torque peak is, the amount of boost that it runs is safe for any motor, but at the same time producing what we feel is peak optimized power.
Right.
You're not leaving any power on the table. I mean, if you want to have a chance of bending a rod, and there's another tune that makes more torque, then that's a risk you're going to take. We don't think anyone wants to risk like a $15,000 motor on an extra like 20 foot-pounds of torque. So we've found that limit and that spot. You're welcome. And it's a very, very good tune. OEM type drivability. Again, I have thousands and thousands of miles on it, commuting, driving, and then the power on E85 is just intoxicating. I mean, from the stock turbo, it really makes me question the need for a hybrid, unless you're drag racing or something, to be able to have that fast spool up, that low lag, that fast transient response. It's pretty incredible what the stock turbo is capable of doing. It's basically like a GT30R,
power
from the factory.
Insane.
like a GTX 30R or something like that. So we're very excited about this release. We hope any of our current stage 1 customers will make the upgrade. The upgrade is only going to be like $200 to go from stage 1 to stage 2, and you get access to all the files that we offer. And something to put out there. We wanted to just release it now, but we are working on adding some of our other advanced features from our B8 tuning to this tune, and we hope to be able to demonstrate that to the world soon. So we're extremely excited about where we're at with DAZA performance. Again, OEM plus type quality and drivability with true aftermarket gains, raw optimized power. And that's been our goal for this tune the whole time. So look for more information today. If you guys get our emails, you'll see those, and certainly we'll be posting out on social media as well. So cool. All right. Someone's asking, would we get into Porsche tuning? 991.2 and above are now all turbocharged. That's definitely something we have our eye on. The issue with the Porsche market is it's a relatively small market. The number of cars sold are much lower than, say, a BMW or an Audi or a Volkswagen. And then some of the Porsches, they're just so good right out of the box. I mean, these newer 992s, we've talked to various tuners in the industry, and they're saying, yeah, we have customers bring in their 992 turbos. We do wheels, tires, and like we flash the ECU, and that's kind of all we can do. They have fully active suspension and sway bars. You can't really swap out springs or anything like that. Not that it would even benefit it. They're just incredible, phenomenal, world-class supercars right out of the box. Where you take a GTI, an A4, an S4, there's a lot more room for improvement from a tuner like us. Now, certainly some of the flat 4 boxer turbo Porsche stuff is very interesting.
Yep.
And I think that's probably where a tuner like us could have a good opportunity to make good improvements. And if those cars are more passive in the suspension departments, then great. We had a SQ5 in here last week that had fully active sway bars.
Q8.
Or Q8, SQ8. And so if you take a sway bar, you cut the middle out, they replace the middle of the sway bar with an electric motor. So now this electric motor can twist and load up each side of the sway bar, actively. So we have to look now into what we can do from a programming standpoint to be able to offer upgrades on that. So, and maybe there isn't. Maybe the factory's just has a really optimal sway bar curve. Mm-hmm. So we got to look into that. But it's definitely on our horizon. But BMW is our next big push right now that we're moving towards. All right, barbecue tips. Someone's asking about barbecue tips from me. It's a great topic that I love. I'd say the main thing about barbecue is controlling the temperature. Whether you're cooking with propane or charcoal or pellets or whatever, if you can control the temperature, then you can create a very specific outcome with the meat every single time. Where you run into problems, if you want pull apart ribs that melt in your mouth, you can't cook at 400 degrees. That's not going to happen. So the meat will just kind of burn and dry out before it could ever get to that point. So you need a grill that can control temperature really precisely. And by far, my best recommendation is a pellet grill. If you want to get serious about cooking meat and barbecuing and smoking and grilling, get a pellet grill. I personally like the ones from Pit Boss. Obviously, the Traegers are very popular. And now Traeger had a patent for a long time, and so that lapsed a few years ago. So everyone's coming out of the woodwork with them. But if you get a pellet grill, make sure you get the kind that have an open a baffle that's openable. So most of the traditional Traegers, there's a pellet box which is burning inside the unit, and then there's a big steel heat baffle or deflector which forces indirect heating of the grill area. What I love about my Pit Boss is that there's a panel that slides open that's right above the pellet box, and so it's like a blowtorch. So if you want to really grill or sear something, you don't have to deal with some wimpy flames. You literally have like it's like a big propane torch, but with wood flavor. That's gives you about an 8 by 8 inch area of really hot, high heat, searing flame. So yeah, that's my best advice. And then just follow the recipes. Ribs, you want to cook them partially covered for about 2 hours, and then you can cook them uncovered for 1 to 2 hours after that. And if you use like a 250-degree temp, you'll get a great result every time. Bigger pieces of meat like a pork butt or a brisket take much longer, but there's that saying, low and slow. That's the key with good grilling, smoking of slow cooked meats is really controlling that heat. So if you want to please your family and friends and cook delicious food, you're gonna need about $500-600 to get into a good pellet smoker. They're awesome. That's the best recommendation I can give. So, and then you can honestly take a rack of ribs and just put salt on it, and if you cook it well, it's gonna blow people's minds. Really a well executed piece of meat is more remarkable than all the seasonings and sauces and crap you can put.
And dry rubs.
Don't worry about all that stuff. Get good at controlling the heat and cooking the piece of meat until it's exactly the temperature and consistency and result that you want. Then start thinking about adding flavors after that. But a really well cooked piece of meat with salt is honestly one of the most delicious things. For non-vegetarian type people, it's one of the most delicious things you can eat. You don't even need all the rubs and sauces, and I'd go back to the basics and recommend cook like a pot roast in the smoker or a brisket in the smoker with just salt and see how it tastes. It's remarkable. So let's start there. If you guys have more questions, let me know. Always happy to talk food in general. I love food. All right. Someone's asking, do you have a software dealer network where I can flash your new Stage 2 DAZA tune? Is there a dealer locator for them on the tuning page? So we do have a dealer locator on our website. If you go to our homepage and go down to the bottom, there's some links there. You'll see our dealer locator. And we do have about 40 tuning dealers in the U.S. We're adding about 1 or 2 every week. So our dealer network's growing rapidly. Yep. And of course, you can always buy tunes directly from our website as well. If for some reason you're having a hard time finding someone near you, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We can also put you in touch with a dealer near you if you need.
Yep. And you don't lose any functionality if you go to a dealer. You can still get a cable. You can
buy the cable.
Do your map switching or logging or fault code stuff.
You can even get flash there and buy a cable from us,
or
whatever.
We're trying to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, our goal is for you to get helped. We're not unlike some of the other companies out there. They really protect their dealer network, and of course, we want to benefit our dealer network and protect them to the degree that we can, but not to the detriment of the customer experience. So we're here to help. We're here to get flashes on your car. We want to see that smile on your face after you feel that extra power. So. Let us know how we can help.
Yep.
What is your opinion of the Audi Start Stop system? The newer cars seem to activate before engine is fully warm. Do you recommend leaving it active or turning it off manually in the car all the time? Well, I have an unpopular opinion about this, I think.
Go ahead.
I like it. I mean, it works fine for me. I typically leave them on, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm shocked at how quickly the engine starts. And, there could be some really, really tiny imperceptible lag. But if it uses less fuel and causes less emissions from the vehicle, then I'm all for it. So I'm not like one of those people who just immediately turns it off every time I get in the car. I know a lot of car people are, and I've heard a lot of car enthusiasts rant and rave about or rant about how much they hate the start-stop systems. So far so good from my experience.
'Cause, I mean, the only time it bothers me is after I've like flashed a car and I forget that it has a start-stop system, and I'm like doing a test drive or something, and it just stalls, and it's like, oh, what did I do? And then it's
Yeah, there's a part in me that has PTSD from my standalone
that's exactly where it's
ECU tuning
got
days.
set up, and then it's just like
Yeah.
a muscle memory or brain memory.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, I worked with engineers, and we created an engine management system called 034 EFI, and there were long periods of time where like the engine's running and it just dies, and then you're sitting there trying to restart it, and so it's kind of like the worst thing is for the engine to die because it's not supposed to. It's supposed to just run all the time. And so I do I do get triggered. I think I did it early on, like, oh no, and like you just described, like, oh shit, the engine just died. But I think I'm past that now.
Not common on many cars. I mean, we've got a handful here that do. The
Yeah.
B9 does. Our last 2020 GTI did.
Oh yeah,
But it's not.
the
I mean,
2019, the
it's-
2018 A4.
We've only got a couple of cars here that do it.
Yeah, yeah, like the TTRS and RS3 don't have it.
Nope.
So I don't think it's a big deal. So do what you want. It's not bad for your engine or anything like that. It's
Yeah, if you want, and if you want to talk about going cold start, stop and start, or cold engine stop and start, take a off the lot like A3 hybrid out and run it on electric, and then floor it to merge. It goes from off, like overnight off cold, to full throttle, like just
yeah.
on going. So
With today's oils,
There's-
the cold, the whole cold engine concern is really minimized. And I think we've talked about.
I'm not
this
saying you want to do that all the time, but I mean, an OEM is done the testing and the engineering at that point.
Yeah, and they wouldn't do it if it was very problematic. The newer engines are so good at getting up to temp so much faster too. So in the 60s, it used to take 20 minutes for an engine to get up to temp, and now these engines control the water pump, they control the thermostat, and they can heat up very, very fast. They can keep all the coolant out of the cooling system, for as long as they need to get up to temp. Is it necessary to upgrade the rear sway bar end links on the rear 034 sway bar to achieve the best handling on a C7 A6? It's not necessary, no. The issue that we run into is twofold. A lot of the factory end links don't hold up to the stiffer tension that our sway bar creates. This is especially a problem on MQB cars.
V6s were terrible.
B6s will break, guaranteed. Your B6 rear sway bar end link will break with our sway bar. And then some of the plastic end links don't hold up very well with our sway bars either. The OEM ones that are made from metal and things like that do better. And then the other factor is a lot of the factory sway bar end links have rubber components, which does create some compliance. So as the sway bar twists under tension from suspension movements, if there's a rubber bushing that compresses, then if the sway bar tensions a 1/4 inch, but the bushing takes up a 1/16 of that, then your sway bar is acting less effectively than it would if it had solid direct connections like most of our end links do. So,
and depending on the end link, oftentimes we have adjustment in there, so you can.
That's a third. Yeah, that's a good third point. Is our end links that are adjustable do allow corner balancing and taking any preload or pre-tension out of the sway bar. So it's a good idea. It's an added bonus. It's not necessary. We sell a lot of end links though for the 3 reasons listed. All right. Why do you think there's limited to no turbo swap development for the B8 S4? Well, I'll tell you from our perspective, it's just not. They don't seem to be as good.
Well, it's just so many things. Right? I mean, there's a couple of guys that are doing them, but I don't know that a lot of people quite comprehend what that would take to put into a full product. Like
It's a big product.
the amount of effort, the amount of just hard parts you need, the amount of limitations that you're dealing with inherently in the motor that you have to overcome, from fueling to physical constraints of your intake manifold and how that's set up. And
But that's my point, right? Like for the maybe 10,000 on the low end to the 20,000 that it would require to do a swap like that.
Cost wise, yeah.
It's not overall better than the supercharger. And certainly if you just take into account that you already have the supercharger, that you can make about 600 crank horsepower with it, with no turbo lag, immediate neck snapping immediacy of power delivery. So I think until people start running like 10-second quarter miles with a $5,000 turbo kit, I don't see a lot of popularity.
Yeah, and the guys that are out there that do have them are guys that have spent hundreds or thousands of man hours on it, iterating it and developing it, putting it together. It's very much
but they're not doing anything really remarkable with them yet.
They've got some fast 60 to 130 times and whatnot, but I mean, as far as like pure trap or drag strip stuff, or however you want to, whatever metric you want to use, it's I mean, I guess you can pick your metric on what you want, but
or I'd love to see some dynos, how much power they're making.
Mm-hmm. I don't know offhand if I've seen anything in quite a while.
Yeah, so I think that's the big issue, is the stock supercharger setup's very good, and then the cost, because you're into the limit of everything. You need an up pipe setup, you need at least one turbo, you need some type of intake manifold solution.
Yeah, you're pretty heavily modifying the firewall between the motor and the cabin. That's got to all get rearranged and
oil and water lines have to be added.
And then that's not even taking into account you're out of fuel, you're out of all these other, your high pressure pump, your low pressure pump, your injectors, and then your cooling. So yeah, it's tricky. There's a lot that goes into it to try and get anything better or substantially better than what you have now.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've certainly looked into it. It's not a new thing. I think the first turbo 3.0 T I saw was 6-7 years ago.
At least.
And at one point we were convinced that we were going to do a product, we were going to do a kit. We started looking into it, and the cost and complexity and stuff just made it seem like, is anyone going to want to pay this much money for a turbo kit? So I mean, a staged setup would be interesting. Like use the supercharger to get the turbo spooled up.
Oh, sure, but you still have all the complexity of the turbo.
Well, it's very complex.
Got
that would be even more complex than a turbo kit, and then I don't even know where you put it. Put any of the stuff. So, but so I don't know. I mean, I would say max out using, frankly, the really cheap and affordable options. There's more stuff coming for the 3.0, the supercharged B8 3.0T. We're working on more stuff. There's going to be more power coming. I don't think anyone's going to get you to 800 horsepower anytime soon with one of those, but unless you use nitrous or something. But I think, another 50 horsepower above what's currently being made is certainly doable. So, someone's asking, recommended stage 1 mods for the N47 1 Series BMW engine. Is EGR delete advisable? That's a good question. We are early into the process, so I don't want to go too deep into that. We did just pick up a 340 BMW.
But yeah, our breadth of product advice on in that series in particular is not going to be too deep.
Our initial focus with BMW is going to be suspension and handling. And I think later this year, next year, we'll start getting into the power modifications and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's from some of my research, a stage 1 file is definitely a no-brainer. It's a nice power increase on those cars, and I would certainly recommend anyone start with that to get more power, and go from there. So yeah. All right. Someone's asking, will there be a Summerfest this year? I don't know. I mean, none of us have been vaccinated yet. I'm not sure when we'll be able to, and that sort of means that anyone that would be coming to Summerfest hasn't been vaccinated either.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if, around here in California, they've done a good job of vaccinating, but they've started at like the oldest people. So the older you are, you got, if you're, I don't know, I think the first phase was like if you were 80 and up, you were in the first phase. And so now they're down into kind of, to people in their 50s, but they're now prioritizing, first responders got prioritized a while ago, but restaurant workers and retail workers and
Yep. Medical
things, yeah, and general medical personnel, teachers, things like that. So that's what they're doing right now. I'm hoping that other critical manufacturing workers like us can get a vaccine maybe in a month. But I wouldn't want to have the event if there wasn't widespread vaccination.
Yeah, there wasn't some sort of assurance that we're at a pretty good level.
Yeah. So maybe we might be there by like August or September, and so maybe we could do kind of a delayed one or one later this year. We're keeping an eye on it.
We definitely want to. I mean,
God knows we want to so
we
bad.
want to open up the doors again.
It's been, from a business point of view, it sucked missing 2 of these events now. Fortunately, we got to squeeze in Winterfest last year right before all this went down. But it's been those are kind of a highlight of our year when it comes to promoting the company and connecting with customers and all that. So yeah, maybe it'll be a fall fest. Maybe we should do a fall fest. I like that's taken.
Yeah, that might be taken.
So anyways, yeah, stay tuned. We definitely want to. I know we're working on some drives and things like that with the local Golden Gate Audi Club chapter. So if you're local, get on the mailing list for Golden Gate Audi, get on their Facebook page.
Yep. And we are trying to attend and support the clubs that are doing the track day stuff still.
Yep.
Usually the ride-alongs are obviously limited, but you can still get out there and get your car on track.
Well, advanced launch control plus flames be coming to the C7A6.
Undecided yet. That transmission doesn't quite operate the same as far as the way the launch hold and whatnot. Maybe. I don't have a definite for you on that one.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
We're not even flashing those right now. Right?
The early ones, yeah. Not the late.
The CREC.
The CRECs, no.
Yeah. So, will you be releasing a stage 3 for DAZA? So we likely won't do a hardware kit because there are already some great hardware kits out there. However, we will be working on tuning. And I know right now we have some TT options on the test bench.
Yep.
So look for something like that. If you have any special requests, let us know. But I think we would like to bring our certain brand of optimized tuning to those DAZA applications. There's been some pretty bad stuff available in the past that I think I know with Unitronic stepping in, that's greatly improved. But it seems like there is room out there for some really nice optimized tunes. And certainly we track test and street test everything extensively. So
Yep.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned. But we looked into like selling a kit with the hardware and stuff, and I'm not sure if that's worthwhile effort for us, given the stuff's out there already and anyone can buy it, stuff like that. So, I mean, if we could go back and do it all over again, I wish we would have just cast a manifold
from the start, right?
Yeah, that allowed various turbos. But
yep.
Any thoughts on direct port injection plates that have been popping up for the B8S4?
So this is to add port injectors under the manifold, I believe.
Yes, not the spacer. I don't know. What do you think, Nate? I mean, seems like
once the packaging gets finalized and sorted out, we actually have some pretty far along developed fueling controllers on the test bench for these. So we We will be able to support that. I don't have a time frame yet. We haven't even touched a hard part on any of those yet. But yeah, we've got some pretty integrated fueling systems and solutions that we'll be able to integrate pretty seamlessly to this fueling.
And that would certainly enable full E85.
Right.
That's the advantage there, right?
Yep.
Like the DAZA came with it, so you just have to plunk some bigger injectors in, and you can do full E85. Yep. So I think things are looking hopeful for B9 full E85 too.
I think so.
Yeah. So will you be doing products for older BMWs as well, like the E46 or the E90? So we do have products for both of those. If you check out our website, we do currently have some inserts and some motor and transmission mounts for those applications. If you have any special requests for those, please shoot us an email and let us know. You can email social@034motorsport.com. It's tough for us to know like what people really want. We want to spend time on products that people want and need, not stuff that's just going to sit on the shelf. So certainly, if there's any holes in the market or open opportunities where people really want something specific that either isn't available or hasn't been done as well as it should have been, those are great places where we'd love to step in on those older applications, like the E46 and the E90. But generally, we're trying not to go back too far. E46 is, we actually have E36 motor mounts because we had a need and we did it. But we have the F30 motor mount coming in the near future. And it will also fit F80 as well. And that will fit a whole myriad of those newer BMWs. Our density line motor mounts. So similar to turbo swaps on the B5, is it possible to install two B9 S4 KO4s in the OEM B9 RS5 KO3s? I don't believe so.
No, I don't believe that's...
It's a totally different format.
The manifold machining and whatnot at minimum would be similar to a full hybrid option at that point.
Although you could, to your point, you could take the KO4 cartridge and machine out the KO3 housings to fit it. I'm sure that's doable.
My brain's failing me. I can't remember if one's a counter rotation or not.
Yeah, it might be. But the good news is there's a ton of hybrids already out there, and I think that's just the way to go. But on the basically on the B5 S4, Audi created the RS4 from that, and so it was, you had two turbos in the S4. They made some bigger turbos to fit in the same spot,
the exact same bolt up.
So it would be like in the RS5 if Audi
RS5
did a
higher output version of it.
RS5 plus
they
cubed,
put the motor in like an RS6 or something.
And so then they contracted the turbo supplier to make a bigger turbo that bolts it in. To my knowledge, that's not available, but I mean, maybe in the Porsche catalog there could be. I know several Porsche motors use that motor. Maybe they're running bigger turbos.
There was a version
in Porsche. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a different concept, but that's interesting too. So yeah, but definitely no. The S4 turbo has a dual scroll turbo housing, and that's not, it just won't fit.
Well, yeah. Taking that turbo on its own, definitely not
like
not
it did
thing.
in the RS4. Yeah. So a whole myriad of ETAs people are asking about. Let's see. Okay, super duper charger, same spot that it is. I would say everything on this list is the same spot as it was last week when we talked about it.
Last week, yeah.
Hopefully 1 week closer.
You're right.
ZF8 B9 TCU Tune. We're still working on it. CREC flash from home. We're still working on it. B8 2.0 T Tune.
Yep.
We're working on it.
Same. These are all irons in the fire.
Super duper charger. We're still waiting for the foundry to deliver the final parts.
Final castings.
Before we can release them. 4.0 T mounts. We are currently testing in the testing phase. Our surge tank, we're currently working on it. It's taking way too long. I've talked to engineering about that. However, it's moving forward. It's moving along. It's moving forward. We had some really trick banjo hard lines made to make it a really clean, nice install. And so we've had to spend considerable time sourcing those, and there's been some revisions. RS5 B9 intake, good news. We just took photos of the production parts for that, so that will be releasing very soon. RS5 B9 turbo inlet with hybrid support. It's something that's currently still in engineering in the engineering concept phase. We're evaluating various designs, different design considerations. That's not imminent, but that it's definitely coming. Why did you choose the name 034? We've answered this a number of times. Jesus.
Yeah, you read the follow-up, or not the follow-up, but the next
Problem is, a lot of times when I'm answering this question, I'm reading the next one, and why did we choose the name 034? We have discussed this many times. The number 034 is the first 3 digits of pretty much all the Audi i5 engine-related products going back to the 1980s.
Yeah, 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And through the 90s.
And so when I became obsessed with Audis, specifically old school Audi 5 cylinders, I began producing these products. The 034 EFI engine management system was basically the first product that I worked on. Nate actually helped a lot with that going back into the early 2000s. And, I was thinking of names, and I just didn't want to be ABC tuning, which like everything out there was at the time, and frankly kind of still is.
Shelty Sport.
I just, to me, the number, I was really into ETCA. I had a job where I basically became an expert at using ETCA and identifying parts using the Audi part numbering system. I became enamored with the Volkswagen 9-digit part numbering system. And so for me, it was like, you know what? The number 034 represents a really esoteric way to describe what we do. And at that time, it was very focused on the Audi 5-cylinder. So, but hopefully you can check out some of the videos where we've talked about this before. We even have a shirt if you would like to purchase it or look at it on our website. It's called 034 Defined. All right, we're got a couple minutes left. Someone says that I am looking cute and I look like a sugar bear. So
what's a sugar bear?
I don't know, but I hope it's good. And thank you very much.
You think?
I think. I haven't heard that one. I'll have to look it up on Urban Dictionary later. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll Google it. Should I Google it? Just like an image search? No? Okay.
Let me put it up on my feed.
How come the VAG platform doesn't have more Apple or Android support when it comes to uploading tunes and logging like the BMW platform, etc.? That's a good question. I think we're behind on that. Is there any technical reason you can think of real quick?
It's down to the developers and the... I mean, what systems are in place?
I think some of the BMW stuff's newer.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it. Honestly, smartphones and the ecosystem around them hasn't been like
5 years ago. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it wasn't really a thing where you would expect everyone to have a $1,000 or whatever smartphone in their pocket. So yeah, it's a fairly recent technological development. There's no technical reason not to, other than it does obviously change the interface to the vehicle. You need a wireless interlink between the phone and the vehicle itself. So, it's not going to be that way forever.
And we will.
I can assure that.
We will, right? So what's a sugar bear?
Sugar bear is a guy who you want to spend, only a guy apparently, you want to spend every waking hour with. Whenever you're away from him, you cannot get him off your mind.
That sounds like a great thing.
Or a restraining order. Every time you are with him, you do not want to leave. He's loving, caring, artistic, tall, handsome, and everything you never knew you were looking for.
Okay, well, I wish I was tall. I don't know if I'm handsome, but that's nice. See, aren't you guys lucky you get to work with me every day? You actually get paid to
Their
spend
use
time
of the
with
sentence
me.
is, "That's my sugar bear over there." Yeah, the one wearing the snapback.
I don't know. I mean, you tell me, I guess it's an HR issue for me if you guys don't ever want to leave. You're like all in my office trying to hang out with me all the time. I might have to call HR and be
Still
like,
sounds like a
can
restraining
you get
order.
these guys out of my office? Just trying to get some work done here. Well, on that bombshell, I think
Sugar
we
bear
can
out.
we can save some of these hard hitting questions for next week, and I think I'm ending the show on a high note. So
I think we determined it was positive.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sugar bear out. See you guys next
See
week.
you guys.